Hi and welcome to the first video here of my Africa theories. Before we jump straight into it, I want to give you a few information about this trip in general. So first of all, how did this trip happen? Basically, this happened because Ananda Geisberger, who is a professional safari guide and has a lot of experience with traveling in Africa, invited me to join him on his trip to South Africa and Botswana. I met Ananda during one of my talks. He was in the audience, and after the talk he came to me and we discussed a little bit about our upcoming projects. And he told me that he has planned to go to Africa in just like 3 months. This was exactly the time when I finished my internship, which I did for 3 years, and I was looking for an adventure anyway. I just wanted to go somewhere far away after being 3 years here in this same store. So very spontaneous, and within just 1 week, I guess, I decided to join him. Here we come to the next thing I want to talk about, and this is how we traveled. We both wanted to make it as cheap as possible. So this meant, luckily, Ananda has his own car in South Africa. It is this very nice Nissan. It's actually, I guess, almost an old-timer, but he still did a pretty good job. You will see it in the series. So we traveled with this car. It was our home for more than 3 weeks. And we also had our tents with us. So whenever possible, we tried to sleep in the tents. Yeah, it was just everything by ourselves. We usually didn't have a guide or something because Ananda already has the license, which made it much easier to travel just the two of us. Okay, so then real quickly where we went exactly, you will see it in this series, but just that you have an idea. So we started in Kruger National Park, went then further north through the Kgalagadi into the Okavango Delta in Botswana. It was our goal to see all these different ecosystems. Okay, so I think this is basically what you need to know about the trip before we can dive into it. Maybe a little bit about our goal of the trip. Of course, this whole trip wasn't just an adventure. I am a wildlife photographer, and also Ananda is a passionate wildlife photographer. So our main goal was to get the best possible wildlife images. And for this, we brought a huge amount of Sony equipment. We spent every day out in the field trying to make the most out of it, which meant we didn't really have a lot of sleep. You will also see it in some of the vloggings I tried, but yeah, having no sleep and being not a native English speaker doesn't really help if you try to make vlogs somewhere in the field, but sometimes maybe there are some which are useful. Otherwise, you will have this in the studio comments, which I'm doing after the trip. Yeah, now I think let's dive straight into it. And the trip started with traveling to Zurich. Basically, this is how it started for me because Ananda already went to South Africa 1 week before. And I went to Zurich. Yeah, this is basically already where the struggle started. But see it by yourself. My flight, which was scheduled for today, got cancelled. This video should have started with me traveling to South Africa, but instead of this, I'm sitting here in a nice, small, cozy hotel room next to the airport in Zurich. Next departure, the train arrives at Zurich. It's already midnight and I'll have to get up in around 4 hours. 1 day later than scheduled, I made it to Johannesburg, but obviously through the delay I missed my connection flight. The highlight of the second day is that I just got a small hotel room here in Johannesburg for this night. And get some well-deserved rest and see you tomorrow. Now I just have to make it to the airport. So yeah. Today is going to be the first day in the African wildlife safari area. So yeah, let's go. Yeah, so after 2 full days of traveling, I finally arrived in Kruger National Park. And luckily Ananda was already waiting there for me. And I got to see our car for the first time, which was at the same time our home for the next 3 weeks. There I was standing on the African ground for the first time in my life, and I remember it felt quite surreal because just 3 days earlier I was still standing back here in the photo store, and suddenly I was in Africa surrounded by crazy wildlife and an adventure waiting for me. And I also remember this completely feeling of freedom because I knew I can forget about all my commitments for the next 3 weeks and just live in this moment. So everything was ready for the adventure, and we didn't wait long. We hit the road and went straight into the national park. Let me give you some first African vibes we got along the road to our first camp.
Ja, naja, wirklich realistisch sein.
Aha. Täglich einzig dann.
A few hours later, it is getting dark and we are on our way back to the camp. And I remember very well how overwhelmed I was by the amount of wildlife we saw within just a few hours inside the national park. And I slowly started to arrive in Africa, and I couldn't wait for all the experiences we would make over the next weeks. After a very short night, it was already time to get up again because sunrise was waiting for us. Good morning from the Kruger National Park. It's the first morning here outside of the park for me, and the sun is about to rise in the next few minutes or next half an hour maybe. Now it's the interesting time where we're trying to find wildlife so that we have something in the perfect morning light in the best conditions. So it's again all about spotting wildlife. After some time of driving around, we came across this small pond, and we decided to wait at this place to see what wildlife would show up. So after all these nice encounters next to this pond, we were very excited to explore more of the area, but then it suddenly happens. After a quick stop, our car didn't turn on anymore and we were just completely stuck somewhere in the middle of the African bush. Luckily, after some time, there was a car coming. They were very nice people and helped us to kickstart the car, so we could at least drive to the next camp and made it to their parking place. So while Ananda tried to fix the problem by calling his local mechanic, I used the time and tried to look for some birds around the camp.
It has started. So we packed everything in again, attached everything, and it's not starting now.
After some hours, we were still on this parking place and the car didn't drive. So we knew that we need a proper mechanic. We took the risk and kickstarted the car once again to at least drive back to our own camp. We knew that we couldn't turn off the car on this way back to our camp because as soon as we turned it off, it wouldn't turn on anymore. But we quickly forgot about this when we came along a huge amount of cars next to the road. We quickly figured out what they were looking for. There was a leopard in the tree next to the road.
Oh yeah. So the last 2 hours have been really intense. Yeah, he just asked where the leopard is, because now we have 2 leopards here, and one of them was most of the time in a tree eating the impala, and the other one was sneaking around on the ground. And now one left, and the other one is still around. So yeah, incredible! What a beautiful animal! I couldn't have asked for more. So it was a little bit a mess with all these cars around, but in the end we had a nice place and got some really, really nice observations. This about the leopard, but there is another thing which is a little bit bad. Our battery broke again, so we can't drive right now. And Ananda is trying to fix it at the moment, so let's hope the best and we'll make it home today. Alright, can you hear that sound? Can you hear it? It drives again, at least back to the camp, and then we definitely have to fix this problem. But yeah, for the moment we got it. So what an incredible evening.
Hey, yeah, we're just heading back to camp now, and we had an incredible sighting. 2 leopards and a leopard kill, so the one took the impala up on the trees, and that's like a once in a lifetime experience. I think especially for Levi that has seen the first time a leopard in his life, but even for me, I've seen many leopards, but this was like outstanding, and we had a good 2.5 hours to watch them. So yeah, 100% satisfied for today. Heading back to camp, gonna sleep happy tonight. Yeah.
So this was it for the first part of the African series. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and in the next part we will explore more of the Kruger area and encounter some fantastic animals such as the African wild dog. So stay tuned, and in the meantime, if you have any questions about the trip, ask them in the comment section below, or also if you have ever been to Africa, let me know your experiences you had in this beautiful continent. So see you in the next video. Peace out.